is going to somehow derail the plans to lock us in. Because what's really important to understand about these agreements, it's not about trade, and it's like cement. Once the cement dries in these agreements, you can't change the rules unless all the other countries agree to amend the agreement. So what we're talking about with this leaked chapter is literally a parallel system of justice. People have domestic laws in courts trying to defend our rights and get our needs met. Corporations would have a parallel system of private attorneys, 3 of them, no conflict of interest laws. The U.S. and the other countries would submit themselves to the jurisdiction of this corporate kangaroo court. And these 3 random attorneys would have the right to order the U.S. government to pay unlimited amounts of our tax dollars to corporations and investors who, A, claim regulatory costs need to be refunded, or B, are saying they're not being treated well enough, regardless if the policies they dislike are the exact same ones that apply to all of us. So, even under NAFTA's system, which has some of this, $350 million have already been paid out to corporations by governments over toxics bans, zoning laws, timber rules. This is a sneaky outrage, and if people actually put a spotlight on it, we can stop it.
So, Lori, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned the 8 nations that are involved in negotiations. Which nations are they? And also the issue of the way this is being negotiated, the number could expand dramatically in the future. Could you talk about that?
Well, the reason why it is so incredibly important that this agreement be exposed is this could well be the last agreement that's negotiated. So many of your listeners and viewers have been involved in the sneaky way trade agreements have been used by corporations to limit regulation and to foster a race to the bottom since NAFTA. And each of these agreements has gotten bolder, more expansive in its limits on government regulation and its granting of corporate powers. This one could be the end, because what they intend to do is leave it open, once it's done, for any other country to join. So this is an agreement that ultimately could have the whole world in it as a set of binding corporate guarantees of new rights and privileges enforced with cash sanctions and trade sanctions. It is not an exaggeration to say that the TPP threatens to become a regime of binding global governance, right at the time that the Occupy movement and movements around the world are demanding more power and control. This is the fight back. This is locking in the bad old way plus. And in addition, the way that the agreement is being negotiated, these rules would require that you not only change all of your existing laws, so good progressive laws would have to be gotten rid of, but that in the future you don't create new laws. Now, the agreement now includes Australia, Brunei, New Zealand, Singapore, Chile, Peru, and Vietnam, as well as the U.S., plus Malaysia has now joined. And the agreement includes all of the NAFTA-style privileges that promote offshoring, but more drastically, it has all sorts of new corporate privileges. So the right to extend medicine and seed monopolies to jack up medicine prices, even the right to challenge formularies, medicine prescription group buying plans, for instance, what the Obama administration has put in their health reform bill. They are at the negotiating table behind closed doors trying to kill the right to use for other countries. Or the financial rules would have just a limit. Countries aren't allowed to ban risky financial products or services at the same time that we're trying to issue regulations under financial reform. And the agreement even meddles with how we spend our local tax dollars. For folks around the country who are doing sweat-free campaigns, who are doing living wage campaigns, green buying campaigns, this agreement says, A, you can't have local preferences, so no Buy New York State preference to recycle money back in your state, your tax dollars, no Buy American, but also conditions like a product has to have recycled content or that uniform has to be sweat-free. Those kind of conditions can be challenged. This is an incredible corporate power tool. It's only gotten this far because it's been secret. And people in the other countries don't want it either. But our government is the one that's largely pushing the most radical provisions, which is why it was so important for this text, which everyone can see an analysis of at tradewatch.org, to be made public to make people aware of what's really going on.
Lori, the last round of negotiations on the trade agreement took place in Dallas. While there, Obama's appointed trade representative, Ron Kirk, spoke at an event for the local business community. The Yes Men took the opportunity to present Kirk, the former mayor of Dallas, with a mock award. This is a clip.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. My name is Gid Habersall, and on behalf of the Texas Corporate Power Partnership, we are very, very pleased to announce that the U.S. trade negotiators are the winners of our 2012 Corporate Power Tool Award. We would like to personally thank the negotiators for their relentless efforts. The TPP agreement is shaping up to be a great way for us to maximize our profits, regardless of what the public of this nation or any other nation thinks is right.
The next round of negotiations on TPP are scheduled over the July 4th holiday weekend. Lori Wallach, can you comment on this? And also what I assume would be President Obama's response, if talking behind the scenes, like perhaps tonight when he's going to be at Sarah Jessica Parker's house with raising a lot of money. The financial sector is donating $37 million to Mitt Romney so far. The Obama administration's haul, $4.8 million. That even his own Wall Street supporters are going over to Romney right now. So he would say he is doing better than Romney would in trying to take on these guys.
I think that for President Obama, there are two scenarios. One is he has not been on top of what these negotiators are doing. This really has been under the radar. It's so important that the text finally came out because it sends a warning to Congress, to the public, etc. And that's basically he's got negotiators on the loose. They are many of the same people who during the Clinton administration got us into NAFTA. They're recycled back into the trade negotiating team. The other alternative explanation is just the money one, which is it is the case that this is an agreement the 1% loves. This is sort of a 1%er fantasy. It's not just that on the margins and in national governments you have to keep fighting with all your money and lobbying to try and get what you want. This would lock it in for the future, indefinitely.
We want to thank you very much for being with us, Director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch, and we will continue to watch this.